so much, Shikha, for joining. And it's my pleasure. It's my so much. I'm feeling really, really blessed that I'm here, and I'm learning from you, and a lot of people will learn from you, and lot many things gonna we discuss in the session. So, Shikha, like you talk about like who I am and what I'm doing. So, I run my own company called Incubes Machines. हम लोग 3 साल से इस क्षेत्र में हैं जहाँ पे हम आत्मनिर्भर की तरफ बढ़ रहे हैं, and we want Indians should not always go and look up to China for electronics. We Indians are much more ahead
Yeah.
in electronics, so that's a benchmark that we are creating since like 3 years now. So that's who we
Okay.
are. That's what we do. But this podcast is the mission that we are going forward is like, be a signal over the noise. You don't have to be stagnant कि मुझे सब आता है बस अब हो गया books पढ़ लिया and that's enough. We want to bring the real stories, the real leaders in front of you, where in which you discuss, we learn from you, and then let's bring the real questions. Like you don't have to Google for those answers, but then these questions that I'm going to ask in all like for all my guests, I do have a set of questions which is not at all prepared, but then it comes with the flow. But then these niche answers are not available on Google. It is only available on the exciting show right here. So that's the motive, and we want to help people from the learnings that we share as a part of a leadership perspective. So that's pretty much of it.
Yes, that's awesome. Thank you so much, Diksha, for taking me through, of course, what you're doing. That's pretty exciting, not just with gadgets, but of course, trying to tell that India is self-reliant. And before, as a country, we came forward with self-reliance and Atmanirbhar. Already 3 years back, you're doing it. So that's quite a fabulous step towards, making the younger generation, the Generation Z, much more independent, and trying to teach them as well that what self-reliance is all about.
Of
So,
course.
of course, to tell you something about myself, as you know, of course, my name is Shikha Kapur. I'm pretty much born bottom in Delhi. My schooling was from Delhi. My education is from Delhi University, Sri Venkateshwara College. I was a history graduate, BA honors history. I had a lot of interest in history since, my early days. So did that. I was an IS aspirant, gave 2 years to, kind of invest in hardcore studies for, ISO, and kind of in the first go cleared my general studies, but couldn't clear the mains. After that, really thought of doing something which is much more professionally viable, which helps me in the long run. That's how MBA happened. And started doing my MBA. And after MBA, got, started working with Vodafone at that point in time. It was in 2007, 2008. So telecom industry was at a boom. It was a kind of a revolution that was happening in India, which was, of course, we had a big player, Indian player like Airtel. You had an international player like Vodafone coming into India. So, kind of saw the transition from Hutch to Vodafone. Pretty exciting time at that point in time, because you kind of saw, mergers and the flow from one organization to another, a lot of value chain that keeps on happening in that front. So was a part of that very exciting journey. And as an HR professional, I would to speak about the kind of the culture, the kind of push that you have in telecom industry per se is very different from any other industry. It's quite pushy. It's quite go-to. It makes you quite over the top about things, right? What we really talk about, be proactive. It's just not proactive, it's hyper proactive, I would say. What
Oh,
really a customer want.
yes.
What customer wants has to translate into your policies, your procedures for your people, where people are the main forefront with the organizations kind of grow on, right? And I think Vodafone was one of the organizations which saw it quite ahead of time, that you have to keep your people together. You have to first think of your employees, then you think of the customers. Like, we see many organizations falter on certain ways that they say customer is first. But
Yes.
I think the organization should say that my employees are the first. You cater to your employees, you keep your employees happy, everything is in line. You don't have to think about any other thing. You, as an organization, you're all sorted. So,
Absolutely.
kind of really learned a lot in that front from Vodafone, quite a few years. Then was a gradual, move outside telecom. Quite some years that I've been part of, hospitality industry across India, one of the leading players
Yes.
like Lalit Suri Hospitality, say Accor, Hilton. So being part of that journey, and I think as an HR professional, you You can move across a lot of industries, which is your plus point being into HR, because you have to, what you really need to know is the pulse of your people. If you have that is, then there is no stopper for you, honestly speaking. So yeah, pretty much, 14 15 years in the industry, enjoying working with people, interacting with people. So yeah.
Wonderful. That's very interesting that you talk about. The best part that you spoke about is always, have people first. That means your employees, your workforce, much ahead than the customer. Customers are important, but your own people is much more important. And then things were pretty in sync. So wonderful, wonderful. You said it pretty straight and correct that this has to be there. शिखा, और आगे हम लोग बढ़ते हैं नेक्स्ट प्रश्न की तरफ. जैसे आप जानते हो कि you are an HR, you are a leader in HR. So how, I mean, it's very easy to play with the machines, but it's very difficult to handle human resource, especially humans, right? Because humans are a lot of emotions, a lot of hard feelings, bad feelings, and a lot many things are happening with
Correct.
humans. Assets. So how? First question to you, Shikha. How does HR become your passion, right? How does HR happen to you? So that's first question. Second question to you with respect to this: how easy or difficult is HR for any professional out there and a leader like you? Over to you, Shikha.
Yes. So how HR really happened to me, it's just not about me. I think I'll keep it quite general for
Sure.
people around to, of course, to think about why you want to be in HR is also a question. It's not a simple input and output kind of scenario, right? If I'm in finance or I'm in any other function, I know there's a certain amount of input that goes into certain calculations, and we can kind of foresee, yeah, yes, that will be an outcome. So but in nature, it's all about how you deal with people, how you deal with their emotions. Like you rightly said, human beings are all mix of emotion. They're a whole bag of emotion that comes into picture. So how are you dealing with them? How do you keep your aspirations of your team together? How are you involving with them on day-to-day basis? I think that was my strength from the very beginning. I think I quite gelled with people. Maybe they're as young as just straight out of college, or maybe as senior as a VP or a senior VP for that matter, trying understanding what is the requirement of every individual. See, how you deal with people is individualistic, correct? I might be good to somebody, I might be equally bad to somebody else. Maybe that's a perception I'm trying to portray here. What is important is what you give to the other person. Whoever comes to me in an organization, they all of them will have a certain level of expectations, correct? If I'm dealing with you, you will have a certain expectation from me. If I'm able to fulfill that, I'm able to manage that bit with you. That's how there is a certain level of connection that happens. If you, as an employee, you come over to me, you have a certain grievance, or you have a certain ask from me, you want to learn, you want to take up certain initiative, or you want to grow within the organization. If I'm not able to understand that, or if I'm not able to take that forward, there will no connection between both of us. What I really think as an HR is a strong business partner to the business, right? As a core business. Though gone are the days when HR used to just do certain engagement activity, or just hire, or just look after your FNF and all of that. That's not the case anymore. If you don't understand your business, you don't understand what is the real requirement of your business, you cannot get the right people. And to get the right people, you need to connect with them. You need to connect. If I have Diksha coming over to me, if I don't connect with her, I don't understand her level of expectation, her level of involvement, I will not be able to deliver to her, neither will I be able to deliver to the organization. So yes, there is a certain level of, as an HR professional, I think it's more of IQ, we used to say before. I think it's more of EQ, in that, emotional quotient that has to grow these days. And I think it's just not for HR. I think as business leader, whoever is getting into business and you're thinking of growing your own business of others, working anywhere, your EQ has to grow. You need to be equally humble. You have to understand the other person's perspective. You need to understand the entire environment that one is growing and developing into. So all of this put together is kind of, would really make into a good business professional as an HR professional as well.
Brilliant.
And
Yeah.
your second question, that what really people needs to know if somebody is wanting to get into HR and to try and grow their career in HR, I'll go back to the first thing, that really think through what you want to do. If you really want to align yourself with people, you are the kind of person who would sit and put a great be a great listener I think then HR is something which will be your kind of, thing to go. Because in HR, it's just not about speaking now. It's more of, how empathetically you listen to your employees. If I have a kid, I will say again, straight out of college, a smart kid, if I'm able to understand what is the learning requirement, if that kid is about, come and able to sit with me and chat with me for an hour and say, yes, I was able to make a point. That's how I would say, yes, you can be an HR professional. So, somebody who can really put in that listening ear and
Yes.
grow with people is something will really take you through HR.
Wonderful, wonderful. The two takeaways from my side is, you should be a good listener and you should be empathetic to us. So empathy is important, key factor, and then you should listen rather than just saying. I mean, you should say, but then listen first. Like 80% listening and 20% you can make something out of it. Wonderful, wonderful said. Wonderful. Let's go ahead to the next round of questions, Shikha. How do you think, like a lot of young millennials look up to on, social media, and they see a lot of good profiles, just like you happened, right? So if I do a course of, say, for example, MBA if I do MBA right? At that point of time, they talk about organization skills, talk about soft skills and lot many factors. But then as a person, right, as a professional, if I'm I want to become a professional, but I'm on a third year, at that point of time, where should I apply? हर एक चीज का हमारा एक्सपेरिमेंटल होता है, मतलब हम पढ़ते हैं थ्योरी और फिर हम एक्सपेरिमेंट करते हैं, तो उस दौरान मैं अपना पहला कदम कॉर्पोरेट में रख रही हूँ, उससे पहले मैं उस पर्टिकुलर चीज को, ऑर्गेनाइजेशन लेवल्स और ये सारी चीजों को कहाँ इस्तेमाल करूँ और किस तरीके से सीखूं, जहां से मुझे एक अच्छा एचआर बनने के लिए नींव मिल सके या फिर एक बेस मिल सके. ओवर टू यू, शिखा जी. या
Correct. Of course, I think what is really important, the right kind of training. I think the young millennials who are pursuing their MBAs, graduate courses for that matter, I think they need to get the right kind of training for themselves. Yeah, I think we have a good platform, like we say LinkedIn, which is there available for people, and many other social networking sites as well, which provide good kind of career opportunities for them. I think what is more important to see for themselves where they can get the right kind of training. So involving not just one training. Gone are the days when people used to just get trained in one organization, that's about it. No, go for multiple training. Go for, maybe a short term 2 months training, 1 month training, and have that kind of exposure to various organizations. I think now these days with India growing and, getting self-reliant, there are a lot of startups which are coming in India, be it into technology space, be into fintech space, or product based organizations which are coming in India. Go and explore yourself with those kind of organizations. Startup is the place wherein I think wherein any individual gets a lot of learning. Learning is just not about learning as a new person, but learning as a human being as well, because they are also experimenting, right? As an organization, if I'm a startup, I'm myself experimenting if I'm able to succeed at the business or not. So there you have a lot of scope to make mistakes. So they enjoy mistakes, right? Like a full structured organization where if you go wrong, you are put into question for a lot of things. But I think so in startup, the culture, whole environment is so inclusive, I would say. They have a different kind of vibe altogether. So there you can experiment, you can learn, you can make mistake, you fall, you enjoy, you laugh with them. To my advice to all the people who are now looking at certain kind of placements or pursuing their final years in MBAs would be definitely go for multiple internships. Go with the organizations which are growing right now. Don't look at specific well established brands only. That's not the case. I think more startups that you engage yourselves with, the more learning that you will have.